Francesca, and today we will be talking about reading notes on the third string and what that looks like in terms of notation as well. And then we will be combining the information that I've discussed in the previous videos that I've done as it relates to notation on the first and second string. So we'll be combining all the information that we have learned so far, but also with the exercises and notation on the third string, and doing exercises with that as well. So to start, we are going to first go over the notes on the third string and how they are notated. So the G is open, and we don't do anything with our left hand since nothing is fretted, and it is notated on the second line up from the bottom on the treble staff, and then the A is notated on the second space up from the bottom on the treble staff, and it is played with the second finger on the second fret of the third string. And then B is the middle line of the treble staff, and it can be played on the fourth fret with the fourth finger on the third string. So this is the same note as the open B on the second string. So we call the B on the third string closed since it's fretted, and then the B on the second string open because it is not fretted. So for these next exercises that I'll be doing, just for the next chunk, I would like you all to play the B closed since we're just talking about the notation and reading on the third string. So starting with exercise 2, I will count us off and we'll be just playing quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I will do the same thing with exercise 3. So I'll count us off. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last exercise for this chunk will be exercise 4, and it will start with the closed B, so the fourth fret with the fourth finger on the third string. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next exercise we'll be doing is going over the notes on the first 3 strings that we have learned about how they are notated, as well as how they are fretted. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then next, we'll be going through rhythmic exercises using just the second and third string, so not the first string yet, and we will incorporate that a little bit later. So I will count us off since we are doing rhythmic exercises, and as I've said in past videos, I highly recommend that you count throughout if you can as you're playing, or follow along with me. And if it is easier, feel free to put the guitar down and clap the rhythms and count as well. And then go on to playing the notes on the guitar. So exercise 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I will do the same thing for exercise 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then again with exercise 8, I will be counting throughout and hope that you are too. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And And then exercise 9 will be the last exercise in this chunk of rhythmic exercises using the second and third string, and I will count through this exercise as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving on, we will be doing rhythmic exercises using the top 3 strings. So we will be using all of the notes incorporated into the exercise that we went over in exercise 5 that we've learned on the top 3 strings. So we will be using all of those. So exercise 10 goes as follows. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then moving on to exercise 11, I will do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then exercise 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then exercise 13, I'll be counting through as well, and we have a dotted rhythm, so follow along with me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all the exercises that I have for you all today, and I hope you guys can go through these exercises again, maybe pause the video throughout any of these. Thanks.
All right, let's take a look at some 3 and 4 string chords on our guitar. Now, just a quick reminder again, our left hand fingers, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And remember, the chord chart or chord diagram reads as if the guitar is like this, right? So the vertical lines are the 6 strings, the horizontal lines are the frets, and we have that thick line at the top, and that's our nut. All right, now let's take a look at our first chord, our C major chord. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your first finger, you're going to place it on the first fret of the B string, as you see around the chart right here. Now, you want to make sure that your thumb is in a good position. We want to make sure it's not up over the top like that or in some weird place behind the headstock. You want to make sure that your hand is in a nice C shape and that your palm, right, you have some space in between the neck and the palm of your hand. That's important, right? Our fingers are nice and relaxed. Now, as you see, right, we have the open G and open high E. So I'm going to be plucking these with my index, middle, and ring finger, my IMA, right? So I'm going to place those on the strings, and I am going to take a look at the chart. Looks good. Look at my hand. Looks like what the chart's telling me to do, and I'm going to give it a pluck. Nice, and that is your C major chord. The next chord we're going to take a look at is our G7 chord. Again, if you take a look at this chord, we are only using the top 3 strings of the guitar. This time, I'm going to take my first finger and I'm going to set it in the first fret of the high E string. All right, so again, I'm making sure my hand is in a good position, taking a look, and I go, okay, everything's where it needs to be. My right hand fingers are on the strings they need to be on. My left hand fingers are where they need to be. And then when I'm ready, and now if you remember from previous videos, we have our G major chord. So let's just review that one again really quick. So G major is a little bit different than G7. G major, we're going to use our third finger on the third fret of the high E string. I'm going to take a look. Okay, my right hand's where it needs to be. My left hand's where it needs to be. I'm taking a look at the chart. The chart looks like what my fingers are telling. And let's take a look at our next chord. Our next chord is going to be A minor. We're going to be using two fingers for this chord, our first and our second finger. All right, so if you take a look at the chord chart, we're going to take our first finger and we're going to place it on the first fret of our B string. And then we're going to take our second finger and we're going to place it on the second fret of our G string. Now, this is important to remember. We want to make sure we're in a nice, proper left hand position. We're using our fingertips. All our knuckles are nice and curled, right? There's space between the neck and the palm of our hand. We're not doing something like this. My thumb's not up here, right? Now, the reason this is so important with this chord is we need to make sure that we're not muting the adjacent strings, right? We're using two fingers now. We have the potential for this chord to sound something like that, and we don't want it to sound like that. So when your fingers are nice and curled like this, you'll be able to let the adjacent strings ring, and I'm going to set up my right hand, I am an A, and it would sound something like this. Now let's take a look at some 4-string chords. We're going to look at 2 of them. And for these, we're now going to be utilizing our thumb on our right hand. So remember, P, I, M, and A. Okay, so we're going to be using P, I, M, and A for these chords. The first chord that we're going to take a look at is E minor. And this one, if you take a look, we're going to put our second finger on the second fret of our D string. So remember, we don't want to play these 2 strings. You can see there's X's on those. We're going to start, the lowest note is here on our D string. So I have my thumb on the D string, my I finger on the G string, my M finger on the B string, and my A finger on the high E. And I'm making sure that I have a nice curled hand. My fingers are nice and curled, right? The palm is far away, and then I pluck, and it sounds like that. The final chord we're going to take a look at is E major. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our second finger, place it on the second fret of our D string, and now we're going to take our first finger and we are going to place it on the first fret of our G string. And again, we're going to use P, I, M, and A to pluck. I'm going to place those on the strings over the sound hole. I'm making sure that my left hand is in a nice proper position, and when I'm ready, I give it a nice pluck. Now, playing chords by themselves is great, but when we put them together, we get something called a chord progression. And we're going to do this really quick with 3 different chords. We're going to go C, then to A minor, then to G7, and then to C. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but if you want, you can pause the video and take a look and try and change through these chords on your own. But it would sound something like this. And from there, you can add different strum patterns, things like that. And the next thing you know, you'll be able to play along to your favorite songs.
It's John Storie here again. I'm a guitar player, guitar teacher here in Los Angeles, California. Thanks for being here today for our little GFA series. I wanted to give you a supplemental video on some techniques to build alternate picking. So what is alternate picking? We hear this a lot when we're in guitar lessons. We hear other guitar players talk about alternate picking. It's just simply in the right hand, when we've got a flat pick like this, we're picking down and up, typically with some kind of subdivision. So if the meter is in 4/4 time, and we've got beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then beats 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be a down pick against a string. And then the and, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, those are going to be the up pick. Either on the same string or on another string, doesn't really matter. It's really about the picking, right? So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you've got your pick, let's all try this together here. Let's get the pick, let's put it right out in front of us, and let's pick down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. As that's going, let's assign the beats to it. When our hand goes down, that's our numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the pick goes up, we're going to say and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's do 2 cycles of that. Ready, begin. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Great. So right out here, my wrist is kind of moving at a pretty wide scoop. But when we're picking individual notes, it's more like we're just using the tip of our finger. Have you ever taken a pencil and tried to sketch something in really quickly on a piece of paper and you get really fine like that? It kind of starts with your elbow, then it goes to your wrist, then it goes to your hand. Well, that's what picking is, right? Strumming is more of the large wrist scooping, like what we were just demonstrating right there. So strumming isn't exactly alternate picking. More when we're using alternate picking, we're playing single notes, as in we're improvising melodies, or we're playing melodies, or we're just playing scales on the guitar, like this. Right? So did you notice in the right hand how very smoothly I went down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up? I can even sing it and play it like that. Down, 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 down. So it's nice, we can kind of have a lot of control with it. And if we're playing consecutive strings, consecutive meaning the strings that are right next to one another, it's often easy to switch strings when we're going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It can be a little trickier with alternate picking when we're picking strings that aren't next to one another. Like if I'm going to pick strings 6 and 4 and then 5 and 3, I'm kind of skipping around. But I'm still alternate picking. Right? And so the alternate picking, we do this for a lot of reasons. We do this to give us a feeling of subdividing the beat in the right hand to create a consistent sort of up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up with our guitar playing, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, again, subdivision. And it also is what we say is more economical. So what does it mean to be an economical musician? Well, it means that the choices that we make as a guitar player have to make it relatively easier for us to play this instrument, this beautiful instrument that we play, the guitar. It's a great instrument, but it can be really tricky to play sometimes, right? Our fingerings, like if you hopscotch around the neck with just one finger, it's going to take you a long time to play certain ideas that you could have used all 4 fingers for. Some of our favorite guitar heroes maybe only used 3 fingers and didn't really use their pinky finger because maybe they didn't have classical guitar training. They were still really effective and they were maybe more economical than others, but really when it comes to guitar playing, we want to be using our full technique, or as we say as guitar players, our functional skills. Alternate picking is simply a part of functional skills. So let's try this. Let's all get our flat pick. We've practiced the down, up, down, up. We're going to pick just our first string. So let's do that and keep a steady beat together. 1 and 2 and ready and go and. Great. It's like a little motor. Now, if you're a beginner guitar player, it's a good opportunity to practice what I like to call spider fingers, which is where we're only going 1, 2, 3, 4, straight up each fret. You can go down each string. For more of you advanced guitar players, we could do spider fingers, but we can go on non-consecutive strings. I can start with the first string, then go to the third string, then go to the 5th string, maybe up to the 4th, right? And all of a sudden makes that exercise a little bit trickier. And notice the first time you do it, you might have to look at your right hand to see if you're picking on the right string. A goal with alternate picking is that we're not looking at our right hand when we're playing. We want to have all that muscle memory built in. Right? And we want to have that nice, even back and forth. So for beginner guitar players, practice with your new pick, holding the pick in the proper position. Check out the video I did on how to hold the pick. And then practice keeping a steady beat with the pick. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then we add spider fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we go down each string. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So on and so forth. And if you're a more advanced guitar player, you can do non-consecutive strings with spider fingers. And improvise that however you may see fit. And of course, the gold standard as guitar players is we want to get all of our scales down, right? Like our diatonic, major, and minor scales, like the Segovia scales. Sixth string. And as I'm playing my alternate picking, I'm practicing having good dynamics, consistent articulation, and a big, beautiful sound. So again, today, alternate picking, we want to really get the pick in the right hand, practice the down, up, down, up, down, up, down, move it over to strings, play it on one string, then non-consecutive strings, then ultimately to our scales. And as you do it, relax and have fun. It's a new technique and it takes a little bit of time to develop. Some people develop it faster than others. So enjoy, have fun with some alternate picking. Again, I'm John Storie. Thanks for checking out this video. And if you got any questions, be sure to ask your instructor or drop us a line here at GFA. Thanks.